Here in Up and Running, we treat musculoskeletal pain, and we treat everyday athletes, professional athletes, and people who just weekend warriors who do activities when their job allows them to, which is the weekend primarily.
And I think that that's really a big thing here in Dubai. It seems to me like, especially even more than London almost, that people seem to be quite active.
Dubai is
here.
a very active city, primarily because it's a very young city. I mean, the people who come to Dubai are young professionals looking for great job opportunities. And young people between 25 and 35, 40 really get involved with their sports.
Our documentary is concerned with extreme sports. It's very ambiguous as to even what that is. So I'd like to hear from you what you think is an extreme sport.
Well, I think there's two perspectives on extreme sports. I think most people associate extreme sports with sports that have a very dangerous concept to it, in the sense that it's where one could easily break bones or get severely injured. The typical example would be skydiving, or another one could be motocross or motorcycling.
And so by that, would you say, so it's almost something that's high risk because it's out of your control?
Exactly. There's some kind of machinery or instrument that makes everything very complicated, but it's not that complicated. For example, the paraglider. But if you don't open the paraglider or the parachute, you crash against the ground. Now, our philosophy, well, we also believe that there's another extreme athlete, which is the one who pushes his body to the limits.
Well, I'm really glad that you mentioned that. We've spoken to a range of different people throughout the week, and there might be some guys who use the machinery, and then there are others who, like, say, do parkour free running, who we found work out every single down to the toes.
Exactly. Well, in that sense, we have seen a lot of ultra marathoners who can run 100 miles in the desert at night.
Wow.
We've also treated apnea world champions, for example. These are the guys that hold their breath and actually go 100 meters down.
What is it called, sir?
Apnea divers. Yeah, apnea
divers.
They hold their breath.
Okay.
They just take a deep breath, and they can go either swimming down, or they can go with a weight really far down.
And we're talking, like, for how long are they holding their breath?
It depends. Some of these guys I've seen hold their breath for 3 to 5 minutes. Yes.
Wow.
It depends on how far they want to go and how much energy they spend actually going down, swimming down.
Okay, and if we're talking about, so these people who are actually putting their bodies to the limits in this sense, do you see that as a good or a bad thing?
It depends. Everybody has to find their own release to whatever they're looking for. Obviously, somebody who's skydiving is doing skydiving because they get a cathartic release psychologically from that activity. Nobody can understand what an ultra marathoner is experiencing after running for 60K unless you really are into that wavelength of thinking.
And what's yours out of interest? What do you do to find that feeling?
Well, I've done a little bit of everything. I'm kind of a curious guy too. I'm a martial arts instructor.
Wow.
I've been doing over 30 years of Shotokan karate.
Whoa, okay,
I've done many
this
tournaments.
is cool.
Yeah, I've done many tournaments. I've also paraglided. I've paraglided for more than 15 years in the Alps, in Spain, the United States. I'm a scuba diver. So I tend to look for my thrills as well.
So you're also an extreme sports athlete yourself.
That's why I understand the extreme athlete, because I've been in that way of thinking for quite a long time. Dubai is a curious city because being the young dynamic city is for young professionals, it is not unusual to find a CEO of a finance company that works 5 days a week in front of a computer doing really, really extreme, hard physical activity during the week.
I love it because it's almost like they're doing like extreme mental even.
Exactly. No, this is a psychological and physical extreme activity. I mean, ultra marathoners have my absolute respect because these guys put themselves through a lot of stress, and I think they do it to relieve some of the psychological stress that they might have at work. I had a patient who is a CEO of a very important company here in Dubai, who is also doing the Ultra Ironman, which is a 5-day sequential Ironman once a day in Hawaii. He's preparing for that for next year. And he needs that from a psychological perspective. These are people that get up at 2 and 3 in the morning during their weekdays to go train.
And it's not as if their jobs in the weekdays is not demanding as well.
They are putting out 100% in their job because, as you know, Dubai from a professional perspective is a very demanding city. People have to come here and fulfill their quotas and give 110% always.
So almost as well, I have noticed that there seems to be something in common across the board, whether it's motocross or it is also something like wakeboarding.
Yes.
There's a certain type of personality, almost like an ambitious personality.
Yes, you have to be very motivated.
Yeah.
I mean, the sedentary person with no goals doesn't really go through this. You have to be ambitious, you have to be motivated, and you have to be driven.